Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. That's Hebrews 13:5. That is a verse that I need right now. I guess I need that every day. I need all the Bible every day. It's supposed to be your daily bread. You're supposed to get into it every day because it's the Lord. The Lord wants you to depend on Him every day because you do depend on Him, whether you acknowledge it or not. He wants you to acknowledge it. Remember, Romans chapter 1 is talking about the descent of man, basically. The descent of men and women into wickedness is at first you don't acknowledge that God is God. That's the first step. And then it goes down into now the men are with men and women with women. We're into all this wickedness. We're into all this darkness. We're into all this idol worship. We're into all this killing of children before they even have a chance to really live. Those kind of things. It starts with not acknowledging the Lord as the Lord and that you're dependent on Him for everything. So we can't do anything without Him. It says that Jesus is the one by whom all things consist. All of that, that's all through the Bible. The Bible is just run through with that kind of thing. The Bible tells you that God is running everything, whether it looks horrible, and a lot of it does look horrible from this side of things. But it's going to come to an end for those, good end for those of us who believe. It's not going to come to a good end for those of us who don't believe that Jesus is God, that Jesus is Lord, and the only way to the Father. Can't get to the Father in heaven except by Him. For if that's you, it's not going to come to a good end for you at the very end of it. But this is part of that kind of concept or truth. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee, because I'm in control of everything, is what God is saying. And if you know that and you believe that and you stand on that, you stand firm on that, that's going to be a good thing for you, because it's a good thing for God. It's not we always got to take it away from ourselves, but we're going to be the beneficiaries of it. We're going to get a reward, but we have to always keep that in mind, that balance, that okay, it's going to come out good for me because I believe in the Lord Jesus, and I believe in the Lord, the Father in heaven. I believe this Bible. I'm going to walk by it. I'm going to talk it. I'm going to speak it all the time. I'm going to keep it in my heart. I'm going to hide it in my heart. I'm going to look to the light, not to the darkness of this world. I'm going to take my eyes off the raging waves and call on the Lord all the time, all day long. But at the end of it, it's about God. God is the main, like people say, everybody thinks they're the main character syndrome or something. I don't know if that's a real saying that people have right now, but I'm saying that now. Like a lot of people have main character syndrome, where they think it's about me. I mean, I think that's just a tendency of all of us. I'm like that. Probably you're like that listening. Now, there's no probability about it. You do think that. You think it's about you a lot of times. And we have to get out of that as Christians, as believers. It's not about me. God is the main character. Jesus is the main character here. We're not. Only in our own minds we are. That's why people get these terms. I don't like these terms. Not just because they're not Bible terms, but not just because something's not in the Bible doesn't mean it's not valid. But a lot of times that is what it means, because you're getting off on something now. You're using worldly terms, like this psychological term, or psychology is from the devil. If you really dig into the founders of this science, quote unquote science, a science falsely called psychology, a lot of these people who founded that quote unquote science, they were communicating with devils, and they wrote about that. It's not even a theory of mine. These people, the Freuds and the Jungs and all these people, they wrote about communicating with spirits, devils, little d devils, who are minions of capital D devils, Satan. So that's where they got this knowledge from. That's where they got all this quote unquote wisdom, the study of the psyche, and all that. That's where they got it from devils. And they use this term called narcissism. A lot of people are using this term narcissism like it's 2025 now. But wow, the time is going really quickly. We're almost to the end of 2025. The weather's starting to get cooler now. Those kind of things. And over the last couple decades, I don't even think it's been that long. I know the term has been around longer than that, of course. I've heard it before. I'm over 50 now, and I've heard that term before. I used to read a lot. I know that term narcissist. Those terms have been around for a long time, longer than I've been around. But in the last 10 plus years, that term narcissist is just rampant everywhere now. Like everybody just uses that term just like they feel like they know a lot or something. Maybe they do know a lot in some ways, but almost everybody uses that term now. And it's just a term. It's just pride. I'm gonna use a Bible word, which is you're just a prideful person. You're just you're all about pride. You're all about yourself. You think you're the main character. I don't really narcissist. I mean, I don't really need to use that word. I got pride already. Pride is there. right there in the Bible. What is narcissism except pride? Why do you need to use that word? I heard a lot of preachers using this word, or so-called pastors using the word narcissist now. Why? Why do you need that word, pastor, preacher, teacher of the Bible? Because you just use the word pride, because you know it's going to draw people in. They're going to feel like you're smart and you know something. So that's why when you pass a lot of churches, the marquee on the outside, it might have a saying outside, or might just have the name of the church, or both. But it's usually going to say, or maybe not usually, but a number of times, you pass churches now, on the marquee out there, it's going to say Reverend Doctor or Doctor So and So is the pastor here, because they know that saying doctor is going to be, oh, he's smart. The world says he's smart, so therefore I can go ahead and listen to him talk about the Bible now, preach the Bible, so called. Why do you need the doctor in front of his name? It's the same reason a lot of people wouldn't go to a home church. They don't want a home down countrified preacher. I guess somebody like me who doesn't, I don't have a seminary title or degree or whatever, but I just study the Bible day by day. And a lot of people that I hear who go to these seminaries or these Bible colleges, they don't actually believe the Bible. So do you want a countrified preacher who may not have the language of narcissists in this sermon? Or do you want somebody who just studies the Bible line by line, precept by precept, all the time, but he really knows the Bible and he really believes the Bible, but all the flaws that he might have that you can pick out? Well, he don't speak proper grammar. I know I don't always speak proper grammar. Do you want that, or do you want the guy who speaks properly, who uses the psychological terms, and if you got a problem, he might send you to a therapist instead of just opening the Bible? Instead of that, he might send you to a therapist, and now you're in the World Psychology Network. Because I had a friend of mine, a pastor out in the Midwest, and he said that when he was a pastor, he's going back 20 years, probably late 90s is when he was talking about this. He said when I was first a pastor, late 90s, he went around his area. He probably went to 50 some churches, or he called them, or he visited the pastors, and he would ask them, basically, would you send one of your congregants to a therapist or a psychologist or psychiatrist? And almost all of them said yes. And he said he was shocked by that. I was shocked when he said that. And that was going on several decades now. He and I both don't understand why the pastor, the preacher, is going to send somebody to a worldly psychology network instead of just using the Bible. And if he don't know what he's doing, he ought to study the Bible more, or get with somebody who does know more than him about the Bible, who's a believer, that is, and answer the question that way, answer the issue or the problem that way. They're going to send him to a psychiatrist. I don't need a psychiatrist. Just get with the Bible, get with the Lord himself in prayer, and then listening to him, communicating with the Lord himself through the Bible. That's how he's really talking to you. Not through somebody who's tapping an ink pen against his teeth as he's listening to you. I want the Bible. The Bible's right here. It says he's not going to leave me. He's not going to forsake me. So that means no matter what issues I'm having, I can find some answer in this Bible. And like I said, I need that right now, because the last few years, if I go back through my life, I think a lot of times I willfully forget stuff. So I've been through a lot of hard times in my life, like a lot of people have. I'm not special in that way. But a lot of things I forget about. Sometimes I remember something like, man, I did go through this. Man, that was a hard time of my life. Well, I'm in a hard time right now. So I can't really look back like that all the time. Like I said, I think I'm willfully ignorant of some things. Thank God he don't let me remember everything. I know one day we're going to remember everything. He's going to show us everything. Hopefully I've walked in a way that's pleasing to him in some of those situations. I know I haven't in many other situations. I'm convicted by that. I repent of things that do come to my mind, and I didn't handle that very well. I was not very godly there. I did not lean on the Lord. I was in anguish. I had an unbelief there. I was wrathful. I can go score down the line. But a lot of those things are just in the past now. So we got to do what's going on today. Yesterday's past now. I just got to learn from those things. And tomorrow's not here yet. Today's got enough troubles of its own. All of that. Yeah, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I need that right now, because this is a hard time right now. We're really just talking about specifically financially right now. I'm in a situation right now where it's kind of like one of those dreams where you're trying to run away from something or run to something, and it's like you're on a treadmill. And I'm working really hard right now. I'm doing a lot of things correctly, but at the same time, things are tight right now. I know I'm not the only one going through that. A lot of people that I talk to, probably you right now listening, you might be going through some kind of financial difficulty or struggle right now. Maybe you might not have anything right now. You might be worried about what you're going to eat or stuff like that. I've been in that situation fairly recently, but I'm still trying. I'm still, like, every day I wake up, like, I mean, this is another day. Thank you for giving me another day. Give me another day to try. Gave me one more chance. You're supposed to count your blessings one by one. Hey, at least, my vehicle started. My eyes open. I can see. I can walk around. I got a little bit to eat. My family in my house, I mean, nobody's sick to the point of death or things like that. Everybody's kind of walking around and the kids are laughing. They kind of don't know what's going on. They don't need to know what's going on. I heard one preacher talking about that. They don't need the kids don't need to know if you're going through some difficulty, or if you and your wife or having a issue or Cold War or something. Like, let them be a kid. Or they don't even need to know about this stuff. I'm glad they're there because they kind of have that joy. Like, I mean, everything's kind of okay. Even though the kids, they're so up and down and mercurial and in a lot of ways anyway. Their emotions all over the place. But for the most part, even when they're down, they're back. They jump back up, in like 10 seconds. And I want to be like that. I kind of take inspiration from that. Looking at our kids are still like under 8 years old, both of them. And I kind of take an inspiration from them. They teach me in that way where, man, I'm really sad right now. And then like a minute later, they're like, okay, well, I'm going to move on now. I really take from that. I want to be like that. I guess I am like that for the most part, but I can get pretty down sometimes. I can get pretty discouraged, especially lately. Crying out to the Lord and those kind of things. But then I might be singing some hymn or gospel song coming to my mind, and then I'm okay. Okay, well, I mean, get up off the mat and just keep going. I will never leave you nor forsake you. And I really need that today. I saw. And it's time to go back to work now.